I'm one of the economic business advisors at OMAFRA, and I am leading the ag and horticultural portfolio. And part of my role is to assist societies with their request and their annual return. We are very excited for this initiative, and it's a pleasure to work with each of you to promote agriculture and food careers at your fairs. I also have two other individuals from OMAFRA joining us today. Stephen Morris, who is our team lead in the CED priority area, and Alex DeWitt, who is also another economic and business advisor and who has worked on this initiative. And Alex will be through the presentation and we'll cover some key points today. First, we'll get a nice overview of the Promoting Agri-Food Careers Initiative. We'll learn about who's eligible to participate in this initiative. And if you're wondering how to apply, Alex will walk us through the application process as well. And then we'll dive into some juicy details of the program's components, which includes promoting and distributing materials at the fairs, creating local agri-food careers promotional materials and activities. And we'll also get some insights into the reporting and the claims process. Towards the end of the presentation, we'll also be tackling the questions you may have. Please feel free to use the chat box throughout and type your questions there. Stephen and Alex will be there to answer them all. And now I'll hand it over to you, Alex, to take us through the insightful presentation.
Thanks, Anu. So before we get going, I'm just going to mention to everybody that this is being recorded so that we can share it with everybody who isn't here, who couldn't make it today. So just be aware of that, I guess, as we move forward. Okay, so I'm just going to share my screen now. I'm hoping that you guys can see the presentation. Give me a thumbs up, somebody. All right, we're good. Thank you. So here we go, Promoting Agri-Food Careers Initiative, July 19th. Quick agenda, what we're going to be looking at here. Going to do an overview, eligible applicants. We're going to go over applying for the initiative. We're going to go over what the program components are, and then reporting and claims, and then finally we'll touch on the question and answers. So, overview and background. The initiative provides funding to ag societies to promote agriculture or careers in agriculture and food industry. The career opportunities in Ontario's agriculture and food industry offer competitive wages, great benefits, diverse range of opportunities, just generally great jobs and different levels of experience, everything from labor to high tech to food services to management to, you know, you name it, it's all kind of there within this. So that's kind of where we're pushing all this, and we'd like your help in helping us to promote these careers. A little bit more about some of these jobs that are available in Ontario based on our most recent data that we have. There's 67,000 jobs in agriculture, over 110,000 jobs in food and beverage work, food services, 330,000 jobs, and then grocery and retail, there's almost 190,000 jobs, all included in what we consider the agri-food sector, just to give you guys an idea of what is available in the agri-food industries for a total of 750,000 jobs, 10% of the province's employment currently in this sector, in these industries. I mentioned this a minute ago, very competitive wages and salaries and benefits, a huge diverse range of opportunities, and all different levels of experience required to fill these jobs. They're not you know, the jobs that we would talk about in the past. Often we think of agri-food as being limited to working on farms, and it's so much more than that. So that's really kind of what we were wanting to push with all this. As it mentions up top, 1 in every 10 jobs is in the agri-food industries. So a little bit about this initiative. It's divided into 2 different phases. The first phase is working with you guys, getting the word out, providing money to the ag societies to promote agri-food careers, as well as working with you through the claims process to ensure that you get that funding and helping to promote local careers. And I'll get into that a little bit later. And then phase 2 of the program will be to promote longer lasting. So phase 1 is this year, getting it to you, getting the word out quickly. Phase 2 is long-term planning. We're going to find a community partner to work with us and continue this work with you guys as well, moving into year 2 and 3 of this initiative. So the nuts and bolts of the initiative, we are looking to offer $500 per fair day to ag societies in exchange for setting up a booth with our material that we will send to you, up to a maximum of $5,000 for fairs, so up to equivalent of 10 fair days in exchange for that process for setting up this booth. Additionally, you guys can apply for up to $1,500 per fiscal year to develop locally developed material, which is which is a reimbursement. So if you have to pay something, say pay someone, or you want to put it together a new ad, something like that, you can be reimbursed for up to $1,500. And again, we're going to go over this a few times, but that's the Coles Notes version of this. The term of the initiative, it starts Friday, July 21st, and will go until March 21st or March 31st, 2025. So that's right, $500 per fair day to set up and maintain a booth. $1,500 reimbursed if you have eligible expenses involved in the setup or to create local materials. Why work with the ag societies to do this? This is on the slide right now is taken from the Act. This is the mandate of ag societies. I know that you guys do a lot more than this. This is what it says in the Act. The piece that we're hoping to connect is what's bolded here, researching the needs of the ag society community development programs to meet those needs, holding ag society exhibitions like the fairs, promoting and conservation of natural resources, encouraging beautification of the community, and supporting providing facilities to encourage activities intended to enrich rural life. So we know that this is all part of what you guys do, and we hope that this initiative will help you guys achieve these goals and do much more than that as well. Not to mention the $500 per fair day, which I'm hoping will benefit you guys as well, I would assume. Who is eligible for this? Only ag societies are eligible for this initiative. So I know there is, it is one of the questions that came up earlier. Only ag societies are eligible as defined in the Act, in the Agriculture and Horticultural Organizations Act. There is a little bit more to it than that. Of course, you have to be in good standing to be eligible. So if you're not in good standing, you will not be eligible for this. This is pulled from the Act, and it's also in our guidelines, which again will be available online on Friday. But you guys should already know all this stuff because you are here working with Vince on a regular basis, so you're aware of what it means to be in good standing. Applying to the initiative. How do you apply? So we are going to ask you to fill out a form. We'll be sending that out to you after this email, or after this meeting rather, in an email. You'll have a copy of the recording of this this conversation, as well as the order forms that are necessary. You'll have a couple of attachments with this. So I'll go over the order forms in just a minute. You'll fill out the order form, and again, there's the website. It'll be active by Friday, July 21st. You can go through it and find all the stuff you need to know about this. In terms of creating locally developed food, you have to again read the guidelines, complete the application form, and email it to the email that we have there. The deadline, 10 days before your fair, is the minimum, just in order to ensure that we have the capacity to put things in a box and send it off to you guys, 10 business days, so that we can make sure that things get into the mail and things get to you on time. That goes as well for our locally developed material. They have to be pre-approved by us, so we need a minimum of 10 days before you print them in order to be eligible for the program. But again, we're going to go over that in just a minute. So 10 days is what you need to remember. This is a screenshot of the application form. So if you want to participate, you need to fill this form out. This will be sent to you in that email following the list. We do need to know who you are, basic information, who's applying, what's your name, email, contact information. We also need to know where you want this package to be sent with. You will be getting a box with a bunch of materials in them. I'm going to go over what material that is in just a minute, but I need to know, we need to make sure that we know where it's going, and then we also need to know when your fare is. We just want you to confirm that so that we're not, sending you something in November when your fare was in August, right? And we know we have all that, but it's just, checks and balances, redundancies. What you'll be getting, so this is the short version. For small fares, you'll be getting one pull-up banner, a stand-up banner. I have pictures of it, I'll be showing you in just a minute. One table runner, 100 little bookmarks, 50 brochures in English, and 30 8-page booklets. For medium-sized fare, you're still getting that one banner and that table runner, 200 bookmarks, 100 brochures, 50 booklets. A large fare, 4 more days, 100 that pull-up banner, that table runner, 400 bookmarks, 200 brochures, and 100 booklets. If you are in a region that has a large French population, we also have the option to choose the French bundle. French bundle will give you an additional 50 French brochures and 30 French booklets. The pull-up banner, table runner, and the bookmarks are already bilingual, so you don't have to worry about those. If you feel like you need more than those, please email us, and we'll ensure that we get any extras that you think you might need if you're a primarily French-speaking region, for example. All right, moving on. Promotion and distribution at fairs and events, existing materials related to agri-food careers. So the next piece to this, again, we've said this a few times, really want to hit this home. We're trying to give you guys $500 per fair day, up to a maximum of $5,000 per calendar year. The $5,000 is equivalent to a fair that is 10 days long, based on the number of fair days that you guys reported in the last fiscal year. So the reason we're saying that is we don't want someone hearing that you can get an extra $500 a day and then saying, oh my God, we used to have a 3-day fair, but now we have a 10-day fair this year. So it's based on your last annual report. Not that we think anyone would do something like that, but redundancies in place. A little quick understanding of what we mean by our events. So first off, a fair, I think you guys all know what a fair is. A fair day is a day at that fair, right? At that standard fair. An event means a planned public event hosted by an ag society before the end of the program that is not required by the act. So what we mean by an event is something that is not included in, is not your AGF or something like that, something that you're going to be doing because you need to do it. What is going to be sent out? So again, we just kind of reviewed all that, but here's some pictures of what's going to be sent out. You get the stand-up banner, a table runner, you've got your bookmarks, brochures, and booklets, the 8-page. Here's a quick snapshot of the bookmarks, a quick snapshot of the English brochures, and the front page of the 8-page booklets in French and English, in case anyone's wondering what they should be receiving. What do we mean by putting together a display? So the big thing here is that these lettered pieces, so we want you to display this information in a high traffic area of your fair that is easily visible. We'd like it to be a dedicated booth, so not matching with a unrelated material or another booth going on somewhere else. We'd like the booth to remain as clean and orderly as possible. The vinyl table runners should be placed on the table with the part of there's like a poster on part of it. So it's supposed to be a white tabletop with a poster facing the public. Print materials should be organized and arranged neatly. Print materials must be accessible, so we want people to be able to take them and take them home with them. Banner must be clearly visible and placed standing on the ground. Standing on the ground is a big one. We really don't want these things standing on tables. We don't want things falling on people if it gets a little windy or anything like that, within a couple feet of the print material table. So we don't want it looking like it's part of a different booth at the other end of the fairgrounds or anything like that. Of course, if you guys want to put on some decoration around it, if it's, you're middle of October and you want to put some pumpkins and stuff like that, by all means, please do. Feel free to do that. And there's no problem with any of that. This does not have to be manned. You do not have to staff this booth. We just ask that on occasion you make sure that it's kept tidy and neat. That said, if you want to man this, great, by all means. So here's an example of what to do. Very straightforward. There's our stand-up banner in the back, our table runner with a white tabletop on top, and the booklets, brochures, and bookmarks. Keep in mind that we are not sending the stands for this. This is just a picture we had taken internally, but we can kind of do this. This next one, I've got 3 examples of what not to do. Does anybody want to guess what by all means, unmute yourself. And does anybody want to speak to what they think is wrong with the first one on the left?
The table banner isn't down far enough.
That's right. So the table runner is unrolled, and as you can see, it's not quite all the way down. What about the one in the center? Does anybody have any thoughts on that one?
The pull-up isn't centered.
The pull-up doesn't need to be centered. It's more just unorganized and messy.
Organized, yeah.
Yeah. And the last one?
Just a little messy and disorganized.
That's it. Uneven and unorganized. That's it. We appreciate that, there's wind, there's kids going around, people are doing things. But as much as possible, we'd like things to look, as organized as possible.
I really like the idea in your sample display, Alex, where you had kind of a table drop cloth that covers up the table underneath, so that could keep your supplies. So that might be a suggestion that the societies could have a drop tablecloth to go on the table first, and that made it look a lot more professional.
Yeah, we had a big discussion about adding in a tablecloth or not, but it ended with the idea of the table runner is 4 feet long, and we didn't know, some people might want to put this on a 4x4 card table kind of thing, in which case it becomes a whole other thing to coordinate. So this way you have the table runner, and by all means, if you have something, a tablecloth, there's no concern about adding that additional thing. So the locally developed piece, the $1,500.
Alex?
Oh, yes.
I'm just going to stop you because there's a few questions that came in. So I think,
Sure.
or somebody had their hand up. So let's just take a pause and try and address those questions.
Sure, I can't see the question, so by all means.
Somebody had their hand up. I apologize. Maybe the hand came back down. Maybe the answer was there. So one of the questions from Beth was just what happens if we run out of brochures and bookmarks? So I think I'll answer that one. So again, if you're gauging kind of that you're having 35,000, we're kind of thinking a percentage of the questions might be, or participants might be taking something. So gauge more and happy to share. We're trying to kind of so we can kind of have more resources. So you can scale up. We wanted to go with 3 kind of bundles if you think like McDonald's. So even if you're a kind of a smaller, medium-sized fair, if you want a large size because you think that there'll be interest and demand, please go ahead. So it's not that you're required to, if you're a one-day fair, to take a certain amount. We just wanted to kind of put bundles of what we were estimating we thought could be taken from paper copies. And then Nancy, I'm glad your question was answered. Thanks for that. So Alex, back over to you, and then we'll kind of keep going.
Thanks, Stephen. Let me know if there's any more questions that come in. Again, because I'm presenting, I can't really see that there are questions coming in. So, sorry, locally developed material. So again, this is the reimbursement for for material for locally developed stuff. So, oops, I'm in the wrong box. Okay, so what's eligible? So the development and modification of our material. So if you want to create your own, we can send you the base information that we have, and we'll send that out to you, and then you can edit it and modify it. Again, it still has to meet our guidelines, and again, all those guidelines will be available on Friday online. But if you want to put in something that's a little more focused on your geography, like you've got more things to do with, I don't know, with waterfront stuff or whatever, we can, work that out with you. Or if you've got more breweries or wineries that you want to focus on, instead of having image of a drone, you'd like to have an image of something else, we can work with you on that to promote something that's a little bit more regionally focused. You can also create your own brochures, videos, update your website. If you want to go to a trade show and display, and there's a cost associated with that, that's all eligible information, all eligible things under this piece, under the reimbursement stuff. You cannot boost ads. So when we say you can develop your advertisement, absolutely. So you can pay someone to a content editor or a graphic designer to create the ad. However, you cannot pay Facebook to boost the ad, if that makes any sense. And then again, participation at career events like job fairs or anything like that is absolutely eligible. Ineligible, so anything that's not listed in the guidelines. There is a whole guideline section on eligible and ineligible stuff. Posting available jobs on online job boards is not eligible. Actively promoting anything that focuses on one specific business. So we don't want something to focus on that one business that is, craft is in your region, they want to hire. We want it much broader than that. Not that there's anything wrong with craft or anything else. And again, boosting ads on social media. Okay, how do you do this? There is an application form. We have slides of it. You'll see the application form. We can go through it with you in a minute. It has to be sent to that email address in order to have it looked at by our staff, our comms people, and approved. Must be approved with 10 days ahead of printing or posting online. You can apply for the reimbursement once per fiscal year. So you can't put in, one in July, one in August, and one in November. Wait till November, put them all in together, because that's we want to reduce the workload for all of us, for you and us. And applicants cannot apply if they have already received payment from Sustainable Cap funding for this project. I'm hoping none of you are. I can't imagine that would be the case, but it's there because got to cover. So here's just a quick glimpse of what the application form looks like. This will be sent to you in a PDF. You're going to need to do this with Adobe. And again, this is all on the website, but you'll have to download the newest version of Adobe Acrobat in order to fill this in online and send it back to us. Again, you'll have all this to go through, but I just want to show it to you so you can see what you're looking for. Basic information about who you are and what your mailing address is for the Ag Society. A little bit about the content that you're trying to, apply for. A little bit about what the costs were that you're applying for to be reimbursed for. A little bit more about the demographics of the agency, and then a signings part and an attestation. How to report and claim this whole process. So this is all going to be done through your normal annual reporting that you guys do in November. So there shouldn't be any additional, it's not like a separate form that you guys have to do in order to get this claim. If you want to participate, you fill out the form saying, yes, send me the stuff. After you get the stuff, you fill out an attestation, which will be added on to your Transfer Payment Ontario process at the end of the fiscal year. And that's about it. For the locally developed stuff, as I mentioned a minute ago, there is a little bit more process because we do need to have, it's a reimbursement situation. So we do need to have proof of payment. and we need to know, who paid for the good, service, or both, and the recipient, and what is the relationship to the recipient, who received the payment, the goods and services, or both that were provided, and the date of the payment. Acceptable form of proof of payment, images of checks, statement from a banking institute or credit card or credit receipt, statement clearly identifying that this was related to this, and if using a credit card or debit receipt, check, or statement as proof of payment, the number of the credit card as well as other information, including unrelated costs to the recipient's project, should be blacked out for confidentiality reasons. All claims must be submitted no later than 11:59 p.m. on the date that we are asking for these to be submitted by. This is a quick screenshot of the TPON training, just to familiarize you guys, so that in case anyone's wondering what I'm talking about when I say TPON or Transfer Payment Ontario, this hopefully looks familiar with you. If it doesn't look familiar to you, don't worry. ANU is going to be offering a training on that come the fall to kind of go over some of this stuff with you and make sure that everything's clear moving forward. So next step, you'll be receiving an email shortly after this with this recording, as well as a link to the application forms and the guidelines and all the stuff that we were talking about tonight. The guidelines will be put on the website hopefully by Friday, not sooner. Ensure that we receive your request for materials a minimum of 10 days before your fair day to ensure on-time delivery. So just really make sure that you send it over to us. We had a conversation this afternoon about processing someone for relatively soon. So if your fair is coming up soon, make sure you get that. Send us an email immediately, and we'll get that out. I understand that some of you all have already received the application form or the ability to receive the application form. So yeah, get in as soon as possible.
Alex, they've received the order form for the locally, not the locally developed, but the kind of the normal promoting program. There is a question from Rebecca, which is, what is the $500 a day supposed to be spent on? Do you want to answer that question, Alex?
Sure. Whatever you guys like. I think it's just money for you guys to have. It's just to be included into your normal budget for future activities. It's not specifically meant to be spent on anything. It's we're asking you to set up the booth. In exchange for setting up the booth, there's $500 to your budget, added to your budget.
So we see it kind of like we're trying to book, if you're going to a conference and you were getting a conference booth space for to display, so similar to at the Ontario Agricultural Association's annual conference, where that we're really doing that, but just we picked a kind of a general number for all, so that it would be kind of accessible and benefit that, but without having to have more of a process built in.
Yeah, so the way I look at it, it's a booth space revenue that's been created, and this is what we're doing for it.
Right. Any other questions before we go into the some of you had already sent in some questions to Vince, so we've gone ahead and answered them preemptively, but I can maybe go through these, and then we can come back to any previous questions later on. Does that make sense?
Perfect.
Yeah, that's great. So if you go back to question 1 there, Alex.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out how to do that. Oops. Oh, there it is. So one of the questions sent in was, our fair has already taken place. Are we still eligible for the initiative this year? Yes, ex-CITES can still be eligible up to the or for the $500 per day for fair day. However, you would have to go to an event. As identified earlier, an event consists of anything that is not mandated by the ex-CITES. So you couldn't say, oh, we went to our AGM and we put the booth up there, we'd like $500 for that. So as long as it's something else you guys are doing, that'd be more than okay.
So for an example for that, it could be, in this situation, it could be the local plowing match that they could go and set up a booth at.
Good question. So we are saying for this one, it would need to be an event that's kind of hosted or partnered with the Agricultural Society is leading. So if there was something else that you were doing later in the fall and you were setting this up, then that would be kind of eligible for this year. Yeah.
So if an agricultural society was hosting an event in the fall, say a craft show, an agricultural craft show, then something like this would be acceptable.
Correct. We would see that as an event for those that this year where we know that some of the fairs have spring fairs and that's not eligible.
Okay, thank you.
One of the other questions.
So again, Nancy asked a question. I'm not sure if you're seeing that. So again, it's as long as the Agricultural Society is hosting that event, we're seeing that as an eligible means for those fairs that those societies whose fairs have already taken place to be kind of equaling to that event. Now, it still only gives you, so if you had a 2-day fair, you'd be kind of you're having 1 or 2 events, you're up to $1,000 in that case for this year.
The maximum amount that we would give, if you have 10 events, that's great. We would only give the $500 per day equal to the number of fair days that you have listed on your previous fiscal year's statement. Was there a hand up? Did I answer a question?
Let's go through I think we covered some of this. Let's go through this and then we'll come back to, if that's all right. I think Catherine had her hand up and she'll be first for the live questions.
All right. Next question that was sent in was, how will this initiative benefit ag societies? Workforce is a major challenge currently facing the sector, and we're very aware of this. We're hoping that, and we know that this is part of workforce awareness, and helping rural communities is all part of the mandate of the ag societies. So we're hoping that this will help you guys achieve that goal, as I laid out earlier in the slide deck, I think in slide 10 or 11. Additionally, there is the benefit of the funding of $500 per fair day. That will hopefully also benefit you guys. Next up, question 3, as a small agricultural society, a bit of focus for the small fairs would be appreciated. We do tend to get sidelined by larger events, but we still do have a need. So this project will benefit all ag societies. It's based on the size of your fair, regardless of the size of the society. So you're getting $500 per fair day. That's it. Is the 3-year funding for 23, 24, 25, or is it for the 24, 25, 26? It goes 23, 24, 25. That's a quick, easy answer.
And ending March 2025.
Yes. All right. We do not own property, but we rent the township's arena and land for our fair. Would we be eligible for these grants? Yes. Rental of property for the fair does not impact this at all. As long as you host a fair, you are eligible. Question 6, how soon will the promo material be available? We should be having it, well, we should be able to send it out as soon as next week, and we'll be going from there. So it's that 10-day period that really is the turnaround point for us. So get that request in as soon as possible so that we can go back. I do see a question, do we have to apply each year for the pamphlet package? Yes, at this point, that is the understanding that you would have to apply annually. We will be prioritizing earlier requests, so get those applications in sooner rather than later so that we can prioritize fairs in August and send that out ahead of time so that we can actually make sure that they get to you. And that's it. for me anyways. So now it's just normal questions as compared to, non-normal questions, I guess.
Catherine has her hand up, Alex, so maybe we'll.
So
Go ahead. I'm just going back to the promo page to the front. Catherine, go ahead.
Okay, so I have two questions. The first is just for clarification. So we have a 3-day fair. It's actually in September, so giving a real live scenario. But we also have some other events that are quite extensive that we do like a plowing match day. We've decided that rather than having a 5-day fair or whatever, it's too much work. So we've broken our events into like mini fair type of things for the other things. So we'd still be considered they would be 3 days, even though we've run these other events that we could be promoting for you in.
I'll take that one, Alex. So correct. So we would see that year would be, if your fair is 3 days, it's kind of, that's what we're basing it on. I think it's great that you're doing other events, so you'd be eligible for $1,500 for each of the 3 years that you're interested in kind of promoting these resources. If you want to use those resources at other events, we think that you're hosting, that's great, and we would appreciate that. But our kind of funding eligibility is for those 3 days as part of the annual returning process.
Okay, now the other thing that you'd said, so actually I have another question there on top of that. So you said then for paying for booth space and that sort of thing. So are you saying that if we decide to enter, say our town has an information, like we have one actually coming up this weekend, but we enter into these where when there is business and support, we pay for a booth and we do that. Is this something that we could get reimbursed for to promote and have that there? Or is it like, I'm trying to
Correct.
understand
Yeah,
like this
no.
booth part.
Great question, Catherine. So under the locally developed, so other activities, so what a great example. Thank you for that one. If you are wanting to kind of be at another, so you have an event for your town, or maybe there's the workforce board is doing something, and you're wanting, again, to be promoting agricultural careers there, and the town says it costs you $200 to for organizations to be here as part of the cost. Again, I'm making up numbers because then as long as you have kind of requested that in advance using the locally developed application form, that's an eligible expense. So in that case, up to $1,500. So that you can kind of be applying for.
Okay, and then I guess then your years, we wouldn't need to have probably the banners that we could probably take good care of those, so you could be saving expenses on, but we would still want bookmarks and stuff. Will you have a different ordering for the following year as well?
So we are, as Alex mentioned at the start, that we are looking at kind of a longer term phase and to kind of for different materials. The banners and the vinyl table runner are not like, are the property of the agricultural societies. We'd hope that you would be able to use it year after year, but we're not, they're not kind of to be returned to OMAFRA. That we're really seeing those as yours that you could use at other events to kind of help promote the kind of agriculture and the importance of agriculture careers, and then use, we're hoping we bought them at a quality well enough that they should last for at least the 3 years of this initiative.
Okay, and then my last question was about the dates. I overheard the 25th, or sorry, in 2025 just till March. So are we applying, so 2023 you apply right now, but you would put in your application for reimbursement then for the 3 days, for us 3 days, in November, along with whatever we did in the year of expenses? Or is this the 10 days prior you do for the actual And then the March is confusing me on the March 2025 being the cutoff.
So again, so with the cutoff is just for. Yeah, so we'll confirm that, but again, it's the 3 years of having the fair. So it's a March 31st date, as it aligns with why your normal annual return is due February 1st, so that we can be processing payments as a government before the March 31st deadline, which is our fiscal year end. So yeah, well, good question. We'll just make sure we've got that clarified in the guidelines when they're coming out to you.
No, I think that's a great question that was raised there, though. So
yeah,
in the announcement was a 3-year program for this. It hasn't been rolled out yet. We are already near the end of July for the starting. So technically 1st of August, I can think is realistic. So we do that. 1st of August is 2023, and if it's a 3-year program, then will the agricultural societies in 24, then in 2025, be able to apply for this? When I saw, as Catherine pointed out, a March 31st, 2025 deadline for that. So.
Yeah, that's a good. So it was like Vince, to your point, it was to be a 3-year initiative, and so we'll go back, and that's a good catch, as a lot of people have seen these resources. So we'll follow up and get that question answered as things are kind of rolling out and being finalized. But the initiative, the planning of that was that it would be over a 3 kind of year period for.
And I understand your fiscal year, I know that well, but it just that is really, so that's not jiving with our system.
Yeah, I believe it's the confusion lies with the 25-26 fiscal year. So it'll end March 30th. Like the final reporting would be due on our end by March 31st, 2026. Your end would be February, I think it's 21st. So you could, in fact, have it this year, next year, and 2025, all of 2025, and the final reporting would be due at the end of the fiscal our fiscal. 25.
Let's see if we can clarify, make that a little clearer for everyone. So.
Yep, that's a good. So great question, everyone. Thanks for this. This is our first time.
No, that's fine. Yeah.
There's a few more questions.
So I've been answering some in the chat, but I will go through them because I realize that we're recording and that the recording doesn't necessarily see the chat. So one of the questions was, is there enough funding for each fair to apply for all their fair days, or are we competing for a smaller pot of money? The answer is that there is enough funding for all fairs to apply. So based on, we made an estimate based on the previous year's number of fairs. We have enough funding for each of you to participate. It's not like a first come, first serve situation. Another question asked was, will ag societies in Ontario be receiving the email? Will all ag societies in Ontario be receiving the application form? If you're registered under the Act, you will be receiving the email, provided we've got the correct email. So make sure that that email is up to date. If you're not worried about it, or if you're worried about it not being up to date, perhaps Vince, if you don't mind, I know everybody has your email. They've clearly already contacted you to be here, but we can ensure that, or reach out to Anu to make sure that that is up to date. But if you receive the invitation to this, we do have that email. Somebody asked, even though the funds are for 3 years, 23, 24, 25, our fair is in June each year, so we can really only apply to funding received for 2024 because June is already passed. Today is July 19th. So yes, you can only apply moving forward. However, because we're very aware that it is July 19th and that a lot of people had fairs already, you can apply for this funding by going to a local event, as we mentioned earlier. So if you have a art show or something else going on that is organized by the Ag Society, you could put this booth up at that event and receive the $500, and that can happen anytime within this year before March or December 31st. So that is how you would be able to engage in this 2023 fiscal or 2023 calendar year. There's one here. Are the materials being shipped by Canada Post or private courier? I'm going to hand that one over to Steve because I'm not based in the Guelph office.
I'm not sure either where our mailroom is taking care of that. I believe we're using Pure Later, whoever has the is our vendor of record for kind of based on cost for the size of shipping. So we're leaving it to our mailroom to kind of determine what the best and most cost-effective resource way to get it out, because they're familiar with working with kind of people in rural areas. So making sure that these materials arrive on time.
Nancy Payne asked, do the banners have to be returned? No, they do not have to be returned. We'd actually prefer if you use them year after year. So don't worry about that. Oh, there's 2 questions about that. Great. You do have to apply if you want additional materials each year. One of the questions was, do you have to apply each year for the pamphlet package? Yes, and we anticipate that there may be new materials or changes to the materials from year to year. So we do ask that. So just to reflect up-to-date statistics and stuff like that. There's a hand up.
Before we get to the hand from John, if that's all right, there was a question from Chris. Is this a one-time initiative or can Ag Societies apply for multiple years in a row? So both are kind of, you can apply every, so if you want to do locally developed activities or pamphlets, you can apply for that each of the 3 years, and the same thing with the promoting agri-food. So one of the reasons that we want people to kind of request, and we'll have a webinar next year, or probably earlier in the season before the spring sessions, but just so that we know that you're interested in promoting this initiative. John, and then there was a question in the chat from Elizabeth that we'll address.
Hi there. That was me that asked the Canada Post versus courier question, and for those of us that are rural, it is kind of important and nice to know. If it's coming by courier, we need to be home to receive it, especially if we're away on vacation or work. And if it's coming by Canada Post, that's nice to know, because then it's safe at the post office until we go in there to get it. So rather than just saying, it's up to whoever your shipping department is, could you find that out for those of us in the rural areas? It would be nice to know, and it would change the focus on how we then where we send our materials, please.
Yeah, sure. Happy to follow up and check. We're meeting with them early next week to confirm all those. It's a great question. Thanks for that.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
There's another question here from Yvonne saying our fair is 3.5 days. We open Thursday 3 p.m. and run until Sunday. So are we eligible for 3 or 4 days? The way we calculated days was based on the day it started and the day it closed, and then we counted the days in between. So in this case, you would be counted as 4 days. So $2,000. Are there any other questions that I've missed?
I would ask anyone that want to just unmute and ask a question, if you're not comfortable typing it in the chat, to do that.
Damn it.
Identify yourself.
Somebody wants a key. Yeah. All right, I'll let you go. All right, you guys take care.
Okay, not sure what that's all about. Mute if you're not part of the meeting here. I think we did a great job here this evening, providing some detailed information, Alex, to them. We've answered a lot of the questions that we've had over the last few weeks. And Stephen, with your information that you provided there around the background of that, helping John answer his questions around the mailing, I think is going to be helpful, because I know I've run into that as well. I think it's a great opportunity to not only promote our ag careers, but it is going to be able to offer some additional revenue for our societies to maneuver through these difficult times that we're going through. I'm not seeing any other questions that have been personally directed to me in here, but just before we close off here, and traditionally the way we do our webinars with the OES is I have my president, Glenn Sim, here to give us some words of wisdom here.
Thanks, Vince. Thanks to OMAFRA for this program and funding. Thanks, Alex and Stephen, for the presentation tonight. Great answers, great presentation. We have a great relationship with OMAFRA and really looking forward to working together on this project. Thanks to those attending tonight for taking the time. It is a busy time of year. And for everybody with Ag Societies, every Ag Society that's having the fair coming up in the summer or the fall, best wishes as you prepare and present your fairs to your communities. So thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Glenn. And again, I said thank you very much, Alex and Stephen. I'm going to turn it back over to Anu for some final closing comments.
Thank you, Vince. So I want to thank you all for joining us today. Your presence in this initiative plays a crucial role in promoting agri-food careers and supporting the growth of Ontario's agriculture sector. If you do have any further questions, feel free to reach out to myself or Alex or the team. We're here to help and support you. And I'd like to give a special thank you to Vince for organizing this fantastic webinar. And thank you, Alex, for delivering such an insightful presentation today. Just wanted to also inform that this session has been recorded, and the recording will be available for those who couldn't attend or want to revisit the valuable content. And we look forward to seeing you in our future webinars, and hope you all have a great night.
Will the PowerPoint that Alex provided, can we attach that to the site where the recording is going to be?
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right. Thank you. Not seeing any additional questions coming in. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate it. Have a great evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
Quick question, Vince.
Yes.
Will the pamphlets and stuff like that, is there a copy that we could like see from online, from a website or somewhere, where we can get an idea of when you said, okay, promotional, because we're going to be under a tight time frame of designing something and flipping it back to you. Is there a electronic version that we can obtain to look at and see so that we could get that expedited?
That's
a great question. We can make sure that in our email out later this week, once we've got all the different pieces together, that we're attaching kind of PDF copies of the materials that we'll be sharing in our copy. So thanks for that, Catherine. Great.
Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you for this initiative as well.
Hey, to get one in under the wire too. That was great.
Right under the wire there, Catherine.
Just before people leave. Like, I like that. Thanks, Catherine. Okay. Have a good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
I lost my hand.
Oh yeah, no, it's all good. So thank you.